Hey everyone, I haven't done one of these serious serious videos for a little while, but I thought I'd do one on my recent experience with live videos and explain why I put my live videos where I put them. There was a young lass, I think most people in Australia know about her, who she went and killed herself because of cyberbullying. And she was quite a well-known teenager. She was the face of the Akubra Hats as a young person, I believe, and her name as we all know her, was Dolly. And I thought, hey, bullying's crap. I went through it when I was younger, at school and things like that. We didn't have cyberbullying back then because we didn't really have the interweb as we have it today. And we didn't have Facebook. I think we had MSN Messenger, just came out when I was in about grade 6, but no one really had that much to do with online stuff. There wasn't YouTube, there wasn't Facebook, I don't think there was even MySpace until I was sort of at high school. But anyway, so cyberbullying wasn't really much of a thing back then, but bullying was and always has been. People have always been bullied, and there's always going to be bullies, which is sad. Now, it would be great if we could change that, but the only way to change that is to break the cycle, and the only way to break the cycle is to actually go where the cycle is, because a lot of people who are balanced and who are confident within themselves and so forth, they just ignore bullies and go on about their day and don't really care about what others think and what others do. And, it's just part of whatever, it doesn't matter. And that's the attitude I had for quite some time. Even when I was being bullied at school, I wasn't really that affected by it. I've always been brought up to be and continued to be quite a balanced person. I've never been through bad depression. I mean, I think everyone in this life has been depressed, so to speak, at some point, where they wonder, what their purpose in life is and why they're here, and not so much suicidal thoughts, but maybe life would be easier for others if they weren't here, or whatever. I think most of us have felt some sort of depressed state in our lives. That doesn't mean that we have depression as the mental illness is. That's a lot more involved than just simply feeling a bit depressed. But anyway, more on that maybe in another discussion. But I've never really I haven't had depression. I have had anxiety and all sorts of other things, but I've never sort of felt that low that I can't get back up again. So I've always been fairly well balanced for most of my life. So bullies to me were just a part of life, whatever, they'll go get over it eventually and move on to somewhere else, or I'll move on, or whatever, I never sort of thought it was going to last forever, and I never, it wasn't nice experience, of course, but it never really bothered me beyond that sort of experience. And so I never really thought about doing anything about it, because for me, it wasn't too much of a problem. Now, for someone else who is maybe in that, their brain is in that depression sort of state, or they're putting up with a lot more, because don't forget, when you're at school, they only really bully you when you're at school. These days, they keep going, and maybe if cyberbullying was a thing back then, I might have hit that depressed state and gone into depression from bullying if it was continuous, because you could go home and you'd be away from it. And I had a lot of friends in the street and that sort of thing. So, I could get away from it. But cyberbullying you can't really get away from, because it's there all the time. Unless you take yourself off social media, which for teenagers is like death these days, like people are like, oh, why don't she just, get rid of her account? Well, maybe because she had friends on that account. And a lot of the time, that's how people communicate these days, I know you old people don't get it, and to you it seems like really simple that you could just, get rid of your account and that be the end of it. But it's not that simple, especially for teenagers these days, Anyway, so I have been on this group that I posted my first live on for quite some time, probably a couple of years now. I don't know how long it's been running, but anyway, the group itself is called Get It Off Your Chest. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of other groups that are similar to this, but the name sort of suggests that it's a bit of a group where there's, you know, a bit of angry people and a bit of, how do I say this without sounding nasty, but a bit of, you know, a bit of bullying goes on, a bit of people that maybe haven't had the best upbringing, you know, there's a fair bit of drug use and stuff on the page, you know, all that sort of stuff. And people go, well, why would you post your life there? That's just asking people to come and bloody bully you and sting you and carry on like children. Well, that's kind of what I wanted. You know, I wanted to prove the point that just because this well-known person had died from bullying, it doesn't make it stop, you know, because a lot of people are thinking, oh, you know, bullying will sort of, you know, end now and people will stop killing themselves. Well, quite a few people have actually killed themselves since that young girl died, sadly. And it is very, very sad. So I sort of wanted to prove that, no, it isn't gone and people are still going to do it. And I also wanted to go into that area because that's the area where the people need nurturing and they need guidance and they need help to become better people. Am I the person to help them? I don't know. Probably not. But by opening someone's eyes, sometimes they will go and find the help that they need themselves. Okay. So yes, I got hit with a lot of anger. I got hit with a lot of abuse. I got hit with a lot of, oh, you know, you look like you're a drug addict, or you look like a bloody ugly person, or you look like you've been dropped on your head, or, you know, someone said I spun a few light bulbs. I had no idea what that meant. Apparently it meant something about a meth pipe or something. I don't know. But anyway, I copped some anger that was not to do with what the video was actually about. I was feeding chickens in this particular video. Now that was interesting in itself, that people took it upon themselves to spend their time, you know, carrying on at me. They don't know me. They didn't know at the time that I was vision impaired. I did mention it in the actual video, but not on the description. And so people that didn't actually watch the video and just read the description obviously commented. And then when it was pointed out to them, some of them felt ashamed, which I thought was interesting as well. You know, I don't understand why you would say those things to someone and then take it back just because their eyes don't work, you know, like, to me that doesn't make much sense. If you're going to say something, say it regardless, and you shouldn't feel ashamed of it, because if you feel ashamed of it, well, obviously it wasn't the right thing to say, you know. So anyway, moving on from that point, so copping a lot of craziness. And people were like, my friends and so forth, when I told them about it, they said, how did you cope with that? You know, didn't it make you feel bad about yourself? Or didn't it make you angry? Or didn't it make you blah, 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 blah? No, it didn't. I mean, I fought back a little bit. I wasn't aggressive. I wasn't angry. I wasn't horrible to anybody, I don't think. I was a bit of a smart ass maybe, but not attacking anyone. I was actually very kind to these people, because at the end of the day, bullying someone who bullies doesn't stop the bullying. It just doesn't. And I'm about to tell you something that might surprise you. I posted 2 more lives on that page. How many negative comments do you think I got out of those 2 new lives that I put on that page after that first one? 0. Isn't that interesting? Now, is that because those people who were carrying on at me and saying those horrible things weren't watching the videos? I don't think so. Is it because I did it at a different time and different people were watching and I put that I was vision impaired in the description? I still don't think so. So what happened that changed the negative comments? And I am going to say this. There were about maybe 20 negative comments to about 110 positive ones on that first video. Okay, so, but we are focusing at the moment on the comments that weren't so nice for the purpose of this video. Normally I don't focus on that sort of thing, but I just want to explain some things. So why did that change? My content on my videos didn't really change. I took people down to show my gardens and talk about the gardens and stuff like that. And what I had copped on the first video. On the third video, I answered some questions about vision impairment, because there were a lot of questions on both videos about how I do things. So what changed? Did people change their perspective? I think so. Quite a few people changed their perspective, and there was evidence of that. Now, did they change their perspective because, oh, the poor little blind girl, we can't pick on her? The comments didn't show that. Okay, I think they didn't pick on me because they knew that I was balanced and strong and able to handle it, and it wasn't affecting me at all, what they were saying. So why bother saying it when it doesn't have any effect? Okay, subconsciously, I think that's what was going on, and the comments were evident of that. So if we're going to stop bullying, then we who are balanced, and I know that every one of you that is watching this video is either balanced right now or can be, okay? Don't be afraid to go and get help. I have in the past. But when you are balanced and when you are strong, that is when you need to shine your light where the darkness is. If we all sit around where we're, praised by our friends and all that sort of stuff, we already know we're freaking awesome, all right? We already know that. It's great to have that praise of that, it's awesome. And we need that to keep going with what we're doing. But we also need to step outside of our comfort zone and step into where these things are happening, because we, as the balanced people, are what's going to stop it. And that's sort of, what I wanted to drive home today is, if you feel like you don't care what people think, like bullying does not affect you too badly. I mean, obviously, if it's physical abuse, that's a whole different ball game, and you need to go to the police and report it. You do not need to put up with physical abuse. I have put up with physical abuse in the past. You do not need to. You are a good person. You are exactly as you are supposed to be. Don't let anybody tell you that you are crap, that you are useless, that you are anything other than fabulous, okay? Because you are on this world for a reason. Sometimes you may not know what that reason is yet, but you are here for a reason. So don't let anyone tell you that you are not worthy of being here, however they do that. Don't let anyone's words sink into your soul that are negative. Get rid of them, okay? Because you are awesome. So, if you feel like you can handle these people who are sadly angry, then please, go on, be positive. Don't let them drag you into that anger. Don't get angry with them. It's not really their fault that they're angry. What is anger, and how do you deal with it? If you're an angry person watching this and you acknowledge that, I mean, I've been an angry person in the past and probably could be in the future, it's just an emotion, just like sadness and hurt and all those things. It's not a bad emotion as such. Just like sadness is not bad, it just is. It's an emotion. We need to stop labeling emotions as good and bad, because they are emotions and we need to acknowledge them, whether they're happy or sad or angry or ecstatic or love or hate or whatever. We need to acknowledge those emotions rather than trying to shove them aside and pretend they're not happening, because they just boil under the surface and then they come up as something ridiculous, okay? And that is another problem as well with bullies. It's a subconscious thing, and we need to deal with those things. So, where was I? I digress again. Goodness, I forgot what I was going on about. Angry. What is anger? Okay. Anger to me is like a really hurt, crying, terrified baby. Okay? Now most people will be like, oh, that's so sad. And, what can I do? Pick up that baby. That is your anger, and I want you to hold it and nurture it and love it. Make it stop crying. Make it stop being fearful. Hold on to that baby and let it calm down, and you'll find your anger will drop significantly. In fact, mine just goes away completely because I'm too focused on keeping my angry baby calm, keeping my angry baby happy. Okay? And it works. Just, men can do it too because you're maternal creatures as well. You want to look after your babies. Pick them up and look after them. And you'll find that people's anger no longer affects you. I did it this morning. I had a meditation session. And I nurtured my angry baby because I've been finding that I've been a little bit angry lately, picking up on other people's anger. And that's not meant for me to carry. That's for them to carry. That's their issue. They need to pick up their baby and nurture it. I don't need to deal with that. I don't need to take that on board. But I was taking it on board, and so I did this morning. And I can tell you that even though other people have been getting angry during the day, not necessarily at me, just angry, and normally that would be a trigger for me, and I would get angry too, for no particular reason. It's just the way that human nature is, and everybody just about does it. I'm not going to box people up and say everyone does it, but everyone that I have had any experience with does, to some extent. So, anyway, I picked up that baby, and I nurtured it until it stopped crying, until it stopped, being frightened, and I didn't pick up their anger, and they were really confused. One person in particular, I'm not going to go and name people and so forth, but was quite confused at the whole thing. Are you upset? What's wrong with you? And I just said, no, I'm just not feeding into your anger anymore, or anyone else's. I've been getting too angry myself for no reason, and enough's enough. I'm not going to be angry anymore. So if you're going to fight with me, if you're going to argue with me, I'm not going to fight back. I'm just going to go, okay, well, that's, I've said what I need to say. You haven't listened. It's now your problem, not mine. I don't need to get angry. I don't need to fight back. I don't need to argue. I don't need to carry on in the same way that the person that I am with at the time is carrying on. And that is how we stop bullying. By controlling ourselves first.